After that, Joe Biden claimed he was involved in the civil rights movement.
And they looked at me and said, Joe, you should run. I said, but I feel strongly about all these issues, but I got involved in the civil rights movement and the war. He said, Joe, you should do it.
During the 60s, I was, in fact, very concerned about the civil rights movement. I was not an activist. I worked at an all-black swimming pool in the east side of Wilmington, Delaware. I was involved in what they were thinking, what they were feeling. I was involved, but I was not out marching. I was not down in Selma. I was not anywhere else. I was a suburbanite kid who got a dose of exposure to what was happening to black Americans when I'm in my own city.
In case you missed it, Biden has certainly been quite entertaining to watch lately.
We have fewer democracies in the world today than we did 15 years ago. Fewer, not more, fewer, cannot be sustained. That's why from day one of my administration, I've taken concrete steps to put human rights back at the center of our foreign policy and reassert our moral leadership on the global stage. Lead, as Chris has so often heard me say, with the power of our example, not the example of our power.
President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden were both caught on video maskless during their dinner date at the upscale Fiola Mare restaurant in Washington, D.C. This, of course, is in violation of the district's indoor mask mandate. If you haven't seen it yet, here you go. Reporter Peter Ducey asked Jen Psaki about this, and Jen defended Biden breaking the same mask mandates he himself pushes on others. Psaki says, let's not overly focus on Biden's hypocrisy.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. There is a mask requirement inside DC restaurants, yet President Biden and the First Lady were not wearing masks while walking around a DC restaurant on Saturday. Why?
Well, I think what we were referring to is a photo of them walking out of a restaurant after they had eaten, masks in hand, where they had not yet put them back on yet. So I would say, of course, there are moments when we all don't put masks back on as quickly as we should. But I don't think we should lose the forest through the trees here, and that our objective here is to get more people vaccinated, make sure that that schools and companies around the country can put in place requirements to save more lives and keep people safer. And not overly focus on moments in time that don't reflect overarching policy.
It was not just exiting the restaurant, though. He was walking through the restaurant with no mask on. There is a carve out for people under 2 or people who are actively eating or drinking. So I'm just curious why the president was doing this.
I think I just addressed it.
Even though Joseph Biden has asked world leaders to not take questions, hasn't done an interview in 62 days, and hasn't had a press conference in 96 days, Jen Psaki says they're always wanting more press access.
We always work for more access. We always fight for more access.
Before we get to the updates, Congressman Drew Ferguson put it bluntly: Americans do not want the IRS snooping into their bank accounts.
With all due respect to Representative Connor, he could not be more wrong on this issue. Americans do not want the IRS snooping into their bank accounts and spying on them. This is a constitutional issue. The federal government is prohibited by the Fourth Amendment from unreasonable search and seizure. And the federal government cannot look at your private property without a search warrant. This is a constitutional issue. It does not matter if the amount is $1, $600, or $10,000. Americans do not want the IRS snooping into their bank accounts. And here's why. Americans don't trust the IRS, and for good reason.
They want to take every bank account of $600 and snoop on your bank account. We need to stop that. That is totally unacceptable. There was also one of the bills where they want to, and I think it's a pilot for now, but they expand it. They want to track how much mileage you're doing on your car and tax you. So how the hell are they going to do that? Follow you around with that? So there's some really, really bad juju going on up there right now, and we just need you guys to stand strong and not let this happen. But the idea that billionaires aren't paying enough taxes, so therefore we need to snoop on people that have a bank account of $600 or more. I may have been born on a Tuesday, but it wasn't last Tuesday. So please stop the insanity, and we want to protect people's financial privacy here.
Amid GOP uproar, Senate Democrats will unveil a scaled-back version of the Biden administration's proposal so that it only applies to accounts with over $10,000 a year in new non-wage income rather than $600. On Sunday, the big news hit the airwaves that Nancy Pelosi may be actually resigning from her position.
But first this morning, this exclusive, sources tell Sunday Morning Futures, there is speculation swirling in Washington that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi may step down after getting the massive spending package through. So all of those Democrat members who had their arms twisted to vote on the multi-trillion-dollar package and put their own re-election in jeopardy may be fuming to learn that the Speaker could be planning a cut and run. Joining me right now to discuss the spending package and vaccine mandates is Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. He sits on the Senate Homeland Security and Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here. And I first want to talk about the breaking news that we have in terms of this speculation. We do not know if this is true. Let me be clear, but the rumor has been heard by many that Nancy Pelosi wants to get the spending through and then step down. That would create a special election. Here's Kevin McCarthy on this program last week.
She's a lame duck speaker. She's on a farewell tour. Where was she last month when the Democrats were working on reconciliation? The UK. Where is she today? She's back in Europe while they're supposed to be concerned about the debt ceiling. She's on her farewell tour, and that's why in the reconciliation bill, she put $200 million from our hardworking taxpayers for a park in her district.
When it comes to the stalled reconciliation package, there is a problem even bigger than just Senators Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. The clock is ticking on the vote for the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill as the October 31st deadline is approaching quickly. October 31st is when the 30-day extension for federal surface transportation programs expires. As of today, it looks like that deadline will not be met as lawmakers continue to disagree. But what's a deadline even mean to politicians? As we've seen time and time again, apparently nothing. It was the second day of October when Speaker Nancy Pelosi sent out her Dear Colleague letter saying she wanted to pass the infrastructure bill well before the end of the month, saying the sooner the better to get the jobs out there. Moving on, after ending our longest war, the Senate Defense Appropriations Bill is out, and it gives the Pentagon even more than they requested. More, you say? Yes, $10 billion extra. $725.8 billion to be exact. According to the Senate Appropriations Committee, the military spending bill for fiscal year 2022 is an increase of $29.3 billion over the fiscal year 2021 enacted level. The nearly $726 billion defense spending bill is for 1 year. The $3.5 trillion Build Back Better plan is spread out over 10 years and is less than half of what Congress wants to spend on the Pentagon. $30 billion more for next year and a $10 billion bonus thrown in because apparently there's just extra money lying around, but not enough to give to the American people. Dan Price tweeted, "Can we have money for stuff we need? There's no way we can pay for that. Can we spend all our money on a warless military? Yes, and here's an extra $10 billion just in case." Anyways, no one seems to be compromising in order to reduce the $3.5 trillion reconciliation package down to the $1.5 to $2 trillion level that Manchin and Sinema say they will accept. Neither Joe nor Kyrsten backed Biden's compromise price in the $1.9 to $2.2 trillion range. We all see what's happening every single day between Republicans and Democrats arguing, and yet they keep broadcasting to the American people that they're making progress with the bill. If they don't settle their differences and reach a deal soon, the White House and Nancy Pelosi might have to delay the vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill once again, or attempt to move forward against all odds stacked against them. Remember, Manchin isn't just just opposing the price of the bill. He's also opposed to the $150 billion Clean Electricity Program, which is designed to help transfer utilities from burning fossil fuels over to renewable energy sources. And he's also stated to the White House that the child tax credit must include a firm work requirement and family income cap around $60,000. The expanded CTC was billed and implemented as a tax cut for the middle class. If middle-income families lose that credit, it would break Biden's promise to not raise taxes on the middle class. Senator Bernie Sanders has been calling out Manchin and Sinema for both holding up Biden's agenda. Here was Manchin's response.
He says you're holding up the Biden agenda.
No, there's 52 senators who don't agree. Okay, and there's 2 that want to work something out if possible in the most rational, reasonable way. That's all.
Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin says that it's time to close the deal. He also said Senate Democrats have high anxiety about getting Manchin and Sinema to endorse the social safety net expansion. We have to have 2 people who are ready to sign, he said. While all of this fun is taking place, lawmakers only have to work 16 more days before they head off for their Thanksgiving break. After hearing lawmakers ask, where's Joe Biden? This is his agenda, so why isn't he more involved in all of the negotiations? White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says House Democratic moderates and progressives will have separate meetings with Joe Biden today in an attempt to make real progress. I don't know if any political leader has asked this question, but I'll just throw it out there. Why can't they all get in the same room and work together on reaching a deal? Why all of this separate meetings? Anyways, to kick off the week's meetings, Biden also met with Pramila Jayapal. Representative Ro Khanna asked a very important question that you can answer for yourself.
One thing, Chris, I think we have to ask a very threshold question. Are we better off today than we were 1 year ago? Let's just remember 1 year ago where we were. We had no control over this pandemic. People couldn't go to football games. We had unemployment at 7%. Now we have 200 million Americans vaccinated. We have this pandemic under control. It's going to get better after Delta. We have unemployment at 5% and in the right direction. People are back at football games. It's not perfect. There have been mistakes, but we're a year into it, and this president has made life better.
In other news, Pete Buttigieg says we can expect to see supply chain disruptions continue. He also claims incomes are up, sales are up, and demand is up, all because Joe Biden has successfully guided this economy out of a recession.
Well, certainly a lot of the challenges that we've been experiencing this year will continue into next year, but there are both short-term and long-term steps that we can take to do something about it. Look, part of what's happening isn't just the supply side, it's the demand side. Demand is off the charts. Retail sales are through the roof. And if you think about those images of ships, for example, waiting at anchor on the West Coast, you know, every one of those ships is full of record amounts of goods that Americans are buying because demand is up, because income is up, because the president has successfully guided this economy out of the teeth of a terrifying recession.
Imagine actually thinking this was a good answer to the question. When it comes to the border crisis, Senator Lindsey Graham called out AOC and made her an offer she'll most likely refuse.
You know, where is AOC? She went down and literally cried about the detention conditions under the Trump administration. Has she been to the border? You want to find something to cry about? Go, come with me. I want to introduce you to Border Patrol agents who are working morning, noon, and night doing the impossible because of stupid policies.
Stepping back in time, a lot has certainly changed on the border issue over the past 6 months, or has it?
During the campaign, you pledged to reunite hundreds of children who have been separated from their parents by the previous administration. According to our reporting, in your first 100 days, not one child's been reunited.
I don't think that.
How is that?
I don't think that's true, but that could be. What we have done is we have united children with their families as they've come across the border. But one of the things is we don't know yet where those kids are. And we're trying like hell to figure out what happened. It's almost like being a sleuth, and we're still continuing to try like hell to find out where they are.
If you enjoyed today's video, give it a like by pressing the thumbs up button and subscribe if you'd like to see more update videos like these. That's the latest and greatest stimulus package updates for today. As always, I truly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to see you soon. Have yourself an awesome day and take care.